New smart mode flaws have been added, so let's check them out.
7K dreamer please.
So we'll be starting with flaw 31 first, okay? So flaw 31 we have Jave who reflects and also decrease cooldown from basic attack. These are just his regular moves, so nothing too devastating. And Ares, both single target attacks, also nothing too much. For Rin, there's 12 shields, so you need to get rid of the 12 shields before you can touch her, and she also blinds on basic attack, so that's where Amelia comes in. Amelia is also good because you have these two little dragons who actually silence and stun. And I think in the earlier rounds you probably have other variations of them that burn as well. So these are my masteries, just take a quick look and set them accordingly. Do remember that for 130 you need to flip it down in order to boost the attack of Teo's 5-man AoE. For Teo's equipments, double lethal, double counter. For his accessory, Willful Ring with crit damage. And for his jewels, you definitely need lifesteal and reflect immunity for Teo. For his traits, I actually gave him crit damage, but you don't have to. And I actually consolidated all 4 of my front line here. Basically, the only thing you need to remember is to give them good HP armor, PvE or PvP HP armor, whichever, and also Guiding Ring or Willful Ring depending on what is their passive. So that's all you need. The jewels don't really matter. Maybe for Amelia, you want to give her increased awakening gauge. Okay, so here we are proceeding with the run flaw 31. Later on, I'll show you guys a run with Taka, so if you guys are not comfortable with using Teo, you can use Taka as well. So first off is to cast Talent Strike. This is to nullify all the block, okay, so that Teo can trigger his Wild Fury super easily and kill the Jave. So counter is super important for Teo because he will just counter all these little minions that attack him, and he'll just keep killing the enemy with the highest defense, okay, with his Wild Fury, and it's just so simple, and I'm going to just leave it as that because that is really the technique to clear this run, to clear this flaw. Basically it's just Wild Fury, covers, and just let the enemy touch you. And the good thing about these flaws and using Teo is because the little dragons will definitely aim for Teo because they have a single target attack that targets the one with the highest attack, and they also have a 5-man AoE, which means they will definitely touch Teo, and this will always trigger Teo's counter if your counter is high enough. So very easy, Teo just keeps countering, kills off with Wild Fury, and that is basically how you're gonna conquer this flaw. And most of Jave's and Rin's attack are also 4-man and 5-man AoE, so for the 4-man AoE you just have to hope that it touches Teo, otherwise you may just have to wait a little longer. So this is not a time efficient run, okay, do note that, but you definitely can clear it with this strategy. Same thing, okay, so the reason why you try not to use any skill right before the end of the previous round is so that you can immediately cast Talent Strike, okay, right from the start of each round. So this will help to let Teo cast his Wild Fury more efficiently, and you can end the run easier and faster. So Corvus is just there to do extra damage, and since we're at the last round already, I just go all out with queuing for Teo's Awaken skill. So just basically do as much damage as I can. I mean, there's no point in holding back anymore. So here the Rin didn't touch my Teo at all, but it's fine, so I'll just end it off with the Talent Strike. Okay? So moving on, I'm showing you an alternative run with Taka instead. Okay, so for the Taka strategy is a little bit different. First off, you start with Totem 10. This is to kill off one enemy. It will definitely kill because Taka is just a very heavy hitter, okay? So after you kill off one, you can safely use the Wind Cutter with the top skill. Because the damage output of Wind Cutter actually increases based on the number of empty slots on the field. So if you kill off one enemy, it will just boost the damage for Wind Cutter a lot already. And basically, you just have to totem tense, Wind Cutter, totem tense, and I think that's all you need. You can see it's like super strong. Wind Cutter is just very strong. It can even kill off the Jave right from the start. So here I'm using Rachel, okay, but you don't have to use Rachel. Rachel is really just, you don't have to even cast any Rachel skills, but I'm trying to get her Awaken passive up so I can do more damage. So Aragon is here basically for the reflect immunity, okay, just reflect immunity. Again, you don't need very good items or weapons on the front line, you really just need some good armor so that they can actually live. And even with good armor, okay, you do need some Willful Rings or Guardian Rings because the enemies at this stage are doing a lot of damage, and they can definitely two-shot or one-shot your heroes even if they are not properly geared. Okay, so the Willful Ring and Guardian Ring is really just to mitigate some damage off from whatever AoE attacks they are going to deal on you. So here I don't have a Da Qiao to prevent formation change, but it is fine because Taka is just so strong that he can kill off anything from any location. Okay, so Wind Cutter will still kill off. I mean, obviously the damage output won't be as much as if he was in the back line, but it's still okay. If we casted Ace's top skill before this, I think Taka can definitely kill off the enemies with Wind Cutter because it increases 80% damage taken. So 2 Wind Cutters was all that was needed, and basically you end off with totem tense on Rin. So it's very fast. I think it's even faster than the Teo run because you don't have to actually wait for the enemies to hit Teo, it's fully controllable. So next up, we are going to floor 32. For floor 32, I'm actually switching it up a little bit. I actually swap out Eileen for Tara. And this is because of Jave. Okay, Jave actually can survive on 1 HP and he will heal back fully and also have vitality for 4 times. So that's something that is gonna drag your match on forever, and you don't want that to happen. So I actually use Tara instead. Another thing to take note of is his Awaken passive. He actually becomes immune to 5-man targets, so that will really hinder Teo a little bit, and also to increase his debuff resist rate. Okay, and the frontline dragons actually all do some burn, so that is something you need to get rid of if your hero actually gets burnt, because you don't want them to take damage like that. So the strategy for this is also pretty similar. Basically, you want to use Teo's Talent Strike first. Okay, this is to let him do his Wild Fury right from the start, and all these little dragons are going to just touch him, so no worries right there. His Wild Fury will trigger on Jave definitely, okay? Aqua Blaster next because you want to cast the Incapacitation on Jave so that he doesn't live on 1 HP. You must observe that the debuff icon is actually on him. Sometimes it is not casted on him, and then you end up facing the full HP heal later. So you see that Jave dies already, and that is super convenient. All you need to do now is handle the little dragons, and I think those are not too difficult. So that's the power of having Tara on your team right here. You don't even need Eileen to boost any sort of physical attack. One thing you do have to take note is that you want to hope for Jave to not actually use his skills, because if he gets his Awaken passive up, he is going to cleanse off the Incapacitation debuff, and that is not what you want. So you want to try as much as possible to use as little skills as possible and to only damage him by Wild Fury. And see, he dies again, and even earlier than all the little dragons. So that is why I actually opted to use Tara here. If you don't have Tara, not to worry, you can use Eileen. I think with a sheer brute force kind of team, you can also kill Jave easily. So this is why I said lifesteal is very important, because you see two of the dragons actually targeted Teo, and my Teo actually took damage. So if I didn't have lifesteal, I would not have been able to get back my HP, and I'll probably die already over there. So here Jave actually used his skill, and this actually charges up his awakening bar. So it is a bit tricky and it can get pretty nerve wracking over here. You just don't want to touch him too much. Wild Fury actually doesn't boost his awakening gauge. Okay, so you just want to minimize your skill use, and hopefully your heroes also don't do any normal attacks on him. So this is where the lifesteal comes in handy. So I'm using his awaken skill, and hopefully it kills Jave, and yes it does, so that's very good. So awaken skill, use it for very important periods, use it when you think you can kill Jave in that one shot, okay? Yep, so that's all for floor 32. Very simple strategy as well. Moving on to the final floor for this video is floor 33, which is the single dragon, and this dragon actually removes buffs, burns, okay, burns, not stuns, and also reduces buff duration by 2 turns, reduce your recovery rate, and basically just do a lot of damage. So what you want is actually to do some team adjustments here. Basically you need to go back to Taka and use Karam if you have. If you don't have Karam, you can use Ritual. I think that's fine as well. Basically, it's to boost your crit damage and lethal damage. Okay, and then you have to use Atalanta. Atalanta is to give you 5-man AoE immunity. You have to use Taka, so I unequip my Teo for Taka. Okay, and do a lot of equipment swapping over here. Basically to maximize Taka's output. And you need Ares, and I'm using Rachel to boost crit damage and lethal damage as well. So I don't have a very fast hero on the front line, so that's why the dragon actually went first. But overall I can still use my skill first, which is great. And I use Blaze to boost the awakening gauges to get my Rachel and my Ares' awakening passive up quickly. So once those are up, my Taka can definitely quickly go skill. And over here, if your heroes get burned, you can clear it with Ares' Crash It, not to worry. Because the only one that you don't want to get burned is actually Taka. The rest of the front line, if they get burned, it is not too serious. Okay, they can still survive a few burns, but just observe their HP and use Crash It when necessary. After this is really just spamming Taka skills. Because you don't have Kale over here, so you have to use the Wind Cutter to reset Totem 10s if you want to keep spamming even more Totem 10s. Basically that's it. Very standard raid procedures, nothing too much. So far it hasn't been too crazy, even though I did take a while at level 32 because I was actually trying to use Taka all the way, like for all 3 stages. So this will actually help a lot of players who don't want to swap around their equipment, okay? But I think Teo is still much better in the previous floor, floor 32, yeah. So over here, I do believe that maybe I didn't have to use Crash It, but I just used Crash It because I don't want my Rachel to die. That will really hamper my run's progress. I don't want to spend the time to charge up her Awaken passive again. So it's very important over here that you actually give your Ares some evasion rings. Okay, evasion substat. because the dragon will actually single target your Aries, and sometimes the dragon will crit. And the crit damage, the slap from the dragon, is going to do a lot of damage on your Aries. So if your Aries is not well geared and doesn't have evasion, she could very well die towards the later part of the battle, which is around this timing, okay, when the dragon actually does his speed attacks. That's all you need to take note, because the lifesteal is definitely not going to let her leech back enough to sustain herself. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Give her evasion rings and good HP, PvE HP armor. Okay, so I think that was a very straightforward raid battle with the dragon. Okay, so do stay tuned for my next video. We'll be looking at floors 34 to 36, and finally the last video will be on 37 to 40. So I hope this video has helped you. If it did, do give it a like and do subscribe to my channel for the next few videos coming out. Thank you so much and see you.